So for step 4, the chassis, well, we're going to grab our main chassis out of the box, and we're going to end up putting in these C14 pieces into the back with these BA2 screws. Then we have these, which I believe are going to be more like support brackets for the original Grasshopper 2 chassis. So they're going to help support the frame. And then we're going to be attaching these BA15 spring mounts with a screw and a lock nut. And then we have another piece here that goes at the front, which I think is going to end up being for the body mount, but we'll see. So those are the screws, and they're a perfect match to the diagram, so we know that they're correct. And of course you can see if I pull this away, those are the mounts. And then of course there are the bits that I got off of the parts tree. So we'll set this up and we'll put this together. So I think what we'll do first is let's put these C14 pieces on. And from what I can see, they're actually for the battery door. And you'll notice that there are holes in the top piece, right there. And they're designed to go perpendicular to the chassis. So you want these holes facing side to side. So if I look at how that's going to go, we're going to stick one of these into the hole like that. So you can see how that's going to sit in there. And I'll turn this over, grab a screw. The screw ends up falling right down that hole down at the back, and we'll screw that on. And I'm going to have to use the other screwdriver because this one's too wide to fit into the hole. Still loose, so we'll keep going here. Well, we can try using the other one, but I think it just doesn't. Yeah, that screwdriver's just too wide. There we go. So there is one of those mounts in place. So we're going to grab the other one, and again it needs to be seated this way so that the hole is side to side, so that's going to fit just in there. And we'll grab another one of these BA2 screws, slide that in, and we'll screw it in place. And there we go. So there are our two battery door mounts in place. So now if we grab this bracket here, you can see that in terms of the way this is shaped, it looks like this square piece is facing down, so it's going into the hole, because you can see that this side is completely smooth. If we turn it around, that square is actually inside, almost notched out, so it actually sits this way. So if we grab our chassis, this bit is going to sit in like that. So the notched out section, because I don't even think that, yeah, that wouldn't even fit. So it's got to sit just like that, so that it looks like that. So again, that's now going to be attached with a BA2 screw from underneath. So you can see there is a screw hole right there. So that's going to go up and inside of that piece. So screw that in. And there we go. So there is that piece screwed in. So the next thing we've got to do is put on these reinforcement brackets onto the shock towers. So you can see that this piece here is just going to sit over top facing that way. So these bits are actually going around that frame piece. Now on this part, you'll notice that there is a screw that goes inside the bracket, the spring mount, and it's going to go inside the hole there, and on this side, and I'm going to hold that in place for a minute while I get the lock nut so that I can turn the lock nut on so that nothing's going to fall apart. But here's the thing, you'll notice here on that spring mount, you'll notice a notch. They don't really show a notch on the diagram here, but on here you definitely can see a notch in that mount. And you'll notice the notch needs to be facing perpendicular to the chassis, so that it's not sitting this way, it's sitting this way. And part of that is, if you'll notice, that bracket or the notch, you'll see that it's actually hitting or sitting on this ridge that's on the chassis itself. It needs to sit there so that it is held in better, and it'll give them a firmer fit. And you'll notice this as you screw this in. So let's get this screwed in. And I might actually use the box wrench too to hold this on this side and screw this in. And just turn that, make sure that it's sitting correctly. So again, notice that the bracket itself, the notch is sitting over that ridge on the frame. Just like that. Okay, so let's do the other one. So same thing again. We need to grab our screw. This is going to go inside of the spring mount. Then this is going to go inside the hole there. Just going to use the screwdriver to hold things in place. We have our reinforced piece that's got to sit there, and that's already popped out, but that's okay. And holding that together, we're going to grab our flange nut and turn that on. Make sure that this is sitting over top of that ridge. And again, I'm going to use the box wrench and the screwdriver to help hold things together. And there we go. So there are our spring mounts in place, ready for installation of the actual shocks. Very, very cool. So we've got that done. We've got this front post done, and we've got the battery door mount post done. So that means that step 4 is complete. So now we're going to move on to step 5 and attach the RC units.